Hey guys, we're back and it's time for the last part of the normals tutorial. We're going to cover namely the jumping normals, that's what's left. And we're going to start off right back into it with the defensive ones. There's two normals that you want to use for defensive purposes. That would be jumping light punch and jumping light kick. Jumping light kick you can use when they are directly over you. Very useful in that respect. You can use it to an extent where you're jumping away, but not really. The other one I like to use is when I am jumping away from them, is jumping light kick. I like using jumping light kick because you can throw it out there, right? You can throw it out there as early as you can, and since you're jumping away from them and hitting them, you know, they're going to bounce away a little bit, but you're mainly going to jump away from them, so that basically protects you from getting, you know, hit on the way down because you did a normal so early. Moving on from there, we're going to go into the normals that you'll be using for offense. So first, let's get Ryu all the way over here, and then we're going to get started. For the jumping normals that are for offensive purposes, you mainly want to use them as a tool to land run stop fears, or for example, go into run stop pressure, or go into your chain jabs, things like that. There is a combo in trial mode where you do jumping fears into close hard kick. That combo is useless, don't use it. I don't ever want to see anybody trying to use it in an actual match. It's stupid. So, let's get started with jumping medium punch, which is the salsa chop. You can do that into run stop fears as long as you are jumping in sufficiently nicely. You don't have to be very deep with it. The same can be said for the next normal that we'll cover. That's basically the use for that one. You can use it for jumping in and going into run stop fears. All of the jumping normals go into super for free. So that's a free set of 410 damage off of landing a simple jump in. You can also use the jumping fierce punch, which is the next one that we're going to be covering. The jumping fierce punch is something you're going to use specifically as a cross up, okay? Cross up specifically. Please do not use jumping fierce punch for the purpose of attacking when they are standing. The hitbox is very poor for this case. It is not like, for example, Ryu's jumping hard kick, which tends to beat a lot of things that are grounded. So, always use jumping fierce punch when you are setting up a cross-up or when they cannot do anything about it. Otherwise, you're going to lose a lot when you're using that normal. If you remember earlier, the throws have a free setup for a cross-up. There's plenty other cross-ups out there. I'm sorry, setups and so on. Moving on, we're going to go into jumping medium kick, the taco knee. Taco knee is cooler than Sagan's tiger knee. That's all there is to it because, you know, El Fuerte is cooler than Sagan to begin with. So, the jump taco knee, same thing as before. You can use it for run stop fears, but you have to be deeper than jumping medium punch than all the other four. That said, this is usually the kind of thing I want to use when I want to go ahead and go into pressure. Okay? That was too late, obviously, but this is a better one when it's easy to go into something else or whatever. Obviously, it doesn't combo into shower kick, so you could ignore that. So, again, you can use that for pressuring. You can use that for jumping in. That's what I like to use it for. It's easier to do jumping medium punch, jumping fierce punch, jumping hard kick into run stop fierce and so on. So just remember that. Lastly, we will have the jumping hard kick. Jumping hard kick also crosses up. It crosses up reliably in the corner. I have yet to land it successfully for a cross up anywhere else. So I would prefer you use it when you're in the corner. It's very easy to do. The minute El Fuerte starts dropping from his jump, that's when you want to hit the hard kick button and you will land your cross up every time. Every time. So, that being said, like I said, it's a free way to get into the run stop fierce. Obviously, drop the run stop fierce there, but you know, whatever. There you go. Anyway, that covers his jumping normals when you're jumping forward. Jumping neutral is slightly different. The hitbox is a little different on the jumping medium punch. It's a little different. It's actually specifically different for his jumping fierce punch. You can use neutral jumping fierce punch better than forward or backward jumping fierce punch for the purposes of trying to beat somebody else's thing, because the attacks, because the hitbox is slightly different. The hitbox for jumping fierce punch when you're jumping forward is specifically to get that cross up, but it's a little tricky, you know. But the neutral jump one is better in that respect. So remember that when you're fighting characters like Balrog or Bison, whom neutral jump is very effective against. That's the ones I like to use specifically when I am jumping neutrally. But you notice literally like El Fuerte even hit him, even touched him there. So you can use jumping hard kick also, but I prefer to use the jumping fierce punch in that respect instead. That covers his air normals. That covers their main use. Now knowing all that information, just to do a little recap of things, you have to know which normals to use, which ones to not use, because since El Fuerte's normals aren't exactly uber, that means you cannot abuse them. You have to have the knowledge in that brain of yours to know what to do and when to do it, so that you don't accidentally end up doing the wrong thing, or so that you do not do what other people can do with other characters, such as, for example, Ryu or Ken, where you can just mash crouching light. You can't really do that with El Fuerte as far as his normals. You can't just freely throw a crouching medium kick looking to fish for a fireball. Things like that. You have to know when to use them, when to set, which ones to set up, so that you can be as effective as possible. In the right situations, El Fuerte's normals can lead into a variety of things. It is up to you, the player, to know when to use them, when to set them up, and when the opportunity arrives for those setups, that you be prepared to do what is necessary to get the most damage possible, or at least, lead into other things. On that note, the next thing we're going to touch is specials, supers, and ultras. Specials, super, and ultra. Until then, get into that training room, get everything down, and when it comes down to it, execute, baby.